Greetings, everyone, and welcome. October the 21st, 2025. The last 12 hours have been an absolute whirlwind. And yes, everything there on the title, the thumbnail, is exactly what we have seen unfold over the last 12 hours. It's Lavrov's shocker statements about Ukrainian genocide and U.S. propaganda. And for now, guys, you can forget Budapest. You can forget everything. It started with a CNN article coming out, and then there was an immediate response by Ryabkov, which is Lavrov's assistant, and then Lavrov got going on it with his statements. I've got it all for you, the why, the how, and the what. Thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing, liking, commenting, and subscribing. Let's jump straight into it. We'll start here. This was the article that came out, Trump's hope for a quick second summit with Putin may be stalled as pre-meeting tabled for now. The reality is this: Lavrov and Rubio had a disastrous call. It did not go well. Rubio stuck on his position, Lavrov stuck on his position, and the Russian viewpoint is everything goes back to the Alaska meeting, not the Putin-Trump call last week. Instantly after this article came out, Deputy Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov commented on the article about the postponement of the Lavrov and Rubio meeting, about the summit. He says, listen, you cannot postpone what was not agreed upon. Meetings of this level take much preparation. So this is the narrative that they begin to spin. Now, next thing that happened is Lavrov responds directly to the CNN article, and what he says is unbelievable. I actually was quite surprised when I read that, according to CNN, that the meeting between Putin and Trump may be postponed after our conversation with Marco Rubio yesterday. It read, American officials have concluded that Russia's position has hardly changed since then and remains within its initial maximalist demands. Well, the lack of integrity of many Western media outlets is well known. They are notorious for this, and they tend to engage in analysis that is not serious and simple. They throw things out just to get attention and then to hammer it into the minds of people. So officially, Russia's position has not changed from the understanding we reached during the negotiations between Putin and Trump in Alaska. We understand that our movement is based on an agreement reached then, which President Trump succinctly articulated when he said that what is needed is a long-term, sustainable peace, not an immediate ceasefire that will lead nowhere. We remain fully committed to this formula only. And there you have it, guys. And yes, peace was spelt wrong. Sorry. But here's the deal. You just listened to Sergei Lavrov accuse Western media of being phenomenal propagandists that hammer their narrative home into the heads of people. That is what you call the pot calling the kettle black. Of course, that is exactly what Russia does. But the bottom line is, he states, we've got an agreement. And the agreement we reached was what we discussed with Trump in Alaska. And that basically is a capitulation for Ukraine. He went on to talk further, and these are some of the statements that he made. I won't take the time to play them all, but he said, Russia ready to move in the directions that what Trump said and that Trump set in Alaska. Calls for a ceasefire right now without addressing the root causes contradict what Putin and Trump agreed upon in Alaska. And I can tell you right now, Zelensky meeting with Europeans, they're putting out a 12-point peace plan, which requires an immediate ceasefire, Russia rejecting it already. He says an immediate ceasefire in Ukraine would mean only one thing. Most of Ukraine would remain under Nazi control and rearmed. Russia's special military operation is achieving its objectives and will undoubtedly be successful. He said on preparations for a potential Russian-U.S. summit, the main thing, he said, is how to act in the future on the substance of the tasks achieved in Alaska. Everything is based on Alaska. We have agreed with the U.S. Secretary of State to maintain telephone contact. And by the way, Poland threatening to somehow arrest Putin if he flies anywhere near Polish airspace is indicative of a willingness to carry out terrorist attacks. And we, as Russia, cannot take that lightly. This is where we're at. Then, ladies and gentlemen, he drops the major bombshell. Yes, accusing Ukraine of genocide. Here you go. So now, when we begin to hear these sounds and signals from Washington that it is necessary to immediately stop and there's no need to discuss anything else, just go home and let history judge. Well, you see, if you just stop, it means that we forget about the primary cause of this conflict, which the American administration, with the arrival of Donald Trump, understood. He voiced this understanding, and I mean providing a non-block, neutral, non-nuclear status for Ukraine, which implies the refusal of any attempts to draw it into NATO, and I mean the cessation of the actual genocide of the Russian and Russian-speaking population. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sharing with you exactly what is coming out his mouth today. So in the same 45 seconds accusing Ukraine of genocide, he also makes a direct reference to Donald Trump's statement, and he calls him out. We cannot do what you're writing. We're here in this tweet just from October the 17th. They should stop where they are, let both claim victory, and let history decide. You just heard Lavrov say, we can't just stop where we're at and let history judge. That is not how it works. We'd have talked about this in Alaska, if you don't remember. So this is where we're at. It is a whirlwind of activity in the last 12 hours. Now we're hearing, this is from Garrett Hawk and other sources, he's out of NBC, planning towards that Trump-Putin summit in Budapest is on hold at the moment. Senior White House official tells me initial call between Rubio and Lavrov was productive, but president believes both sides aren't ready enough to talk to justify moving forward right now. And we know Trump has repeatedly said Putin and Zelensky, they hate each other. No plans for a Trump and Putin meeting in the immediate future. Rubio and Lavrov had a productive call, so even another in-person meeting for them isn't necessary. We were hearing, there may be a Lavrov-Rubio meeting. For right now, even that is off the table. The final bit of info coming in, and this ties it all together in a nice bow tie for you. Politico reporting, and now others, that Russian sanctions bill is on hold for now. And that is according to Thune. Why? Because he's waiting for the next summit. They're waiting for the next summit. They're waiting for the next meetings that happen between Putin and Trump so that they can then decide and make decisions about sanctions. So you see now, looking like no meeting in the near future, we have Russia with a very strong position, Ukraine meeting with Europe right now. What does this mean? United States going to sit back, no sanctions. Continue to sell weapons through Europe, and this war will continue. This is where we're at over the last 12 hours. Thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing, liking, commenting, and subscribing. We appreciate each and every one of you, and we'll be back soon. As I said, there is much unfolding today.